Hi there! I'm Ginny, an AI avatar created by Synthesia, and I would like to welcome you to our Synthesia Winter Release 2023. We've prepared a value-packed event which will start in just a few moments. So get comfortable, and while we're waiting, make sure to scan the QR code and connect with Victor on LinkedIn. Let's see who can do it in under 15 seconds. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks everyone. I'm sure I'll see you again soon. Now over to you, Victor. The stage is yours.
Good evening, everyone, or good morning, or good evening, afternoon, wherever in the world you are. Amazing to see so many folks here. I can see the comments that we both have all of our amazing existing users and probably also someone who's just curious. We got a jam-packed half an hour today, and very excited to show you both some kind of fine-tuning of some of the features we've released recently, some entirely new features. So dialogue, I know, is one that a lot of you have been waiting for. It is coming now. And then we also got to end up with a fun little sneak peek of some of the new avatar technology that we're working on, which should also be in the hands of you guys in the not so distant future. But before we kick off, for those of you who are not familiar with Synthesia, we're the world's largest AI video platform. We've been around for almost 7 years. 7 years ago, we set out on a really simple but very hard mission. We want to make it easy for everyone to make video content, but we don't think of that as making smaller cameras, a better video editing app on your phone. We're building technology to eventually be able to replace the entire physical production process that a lot of you probably know today: cameras, actors, studios, microphones, all that jazz. We essentially want to enable you to go from your imagination to a video without ever having to leave your room. All you need is a Synthesia login. We've made great strides toward that mission. Today, we serve more than 60,000 users, and we've built a really solid platform around the idea of working with AI avatars and voices. But next year and the years after that, we're going to be expanding so much of the capabilities of the platform and enable you guys to do even more interesting and exciting content than what you can do today. But if we go back to this year, it's been an absolutely crazy year. I think probably for everyone in the world, this was the year that AI captivated everyone's attention. For us at Synthesia, we've hit some absolutely crazy milestones. So all of you guys here has helped us make a lot of videos. We've actually made almost 10 years worth of video content. If you think about how long it would take to shoot that content with a camera and edit it and share it, it is just an absolutely gigantic number. And this is not API-driven videos. This is people who've been sitting down in front of the computer, going into Synthesia and making awesome content. So thank you so much for making all this content. For us, it is so incredibly helpful to see what you're working on, how you're using the platform, and how we can make it even better. But in here at Synthesia, as we're approaching the end of the year, I think this is actually the stat that we're the most proud of. It's just absolutely amazing to see this much video being generated. As a company, we've also hit some milestones this year. So some of you may know that back in this summer, we raised a significant investment round of $19 million, which of course is less interesting to all of you watching here directly, but indirectly is very interesting because really the reason we raised this money is to accelerate our investments in R&D and product. We want to take our avatars from kind of like green screen content like it is today to being able to walk around rooms, pick up objects, and do a lot more exciting things that they can today. And that costs a lot of money to train the AI models, but it also means building a studio, for example. So the image you're seeing here to the left is from our 3D studio in London, where you can imagine hundreds of cameras and an array around you, kind of like they do in Hollywood, where we're capturing loads and loads and loads of people to teach our AI models how people smile, how they walk, how they use their hands when they talk. So we can put all of those learnings into our AI models and deliver them back to you. So next year is going to be a really, really exciting one for the capabilities of the platform. We also now more than 300 Synthesians all over the world, which is just a crazy number. I still remember when we were sitting 4 people in an office. As one of the founders, it's just fantastic to see so many amazing people working to build the product, help our customers, and make sure Synthesia runs smoothly. So really great to see that, and also very proud of how many people we have all over the world. We really have people in every single region: the US, America, APAC, and we're of course growing really, really quickly. We've also worked a lot with the enterprise in the last couple of years. When we began building the platform, we always wanted this to be to be a product that people in big companies could use. We know that information and text is especially intense in the enterprise. And so we set out to build a product that would not just satisfy the end users, which is probably a lot of people here on the calls, but also satisfy your IT department in terms of safety, security, and all that stuff. So we're now SOC 2 compliant, and we work with more than 50% of the Fortune 100, which is very, very cool and something that we're really, really proud of. So thank you so much, everyone, for supporting us on our journey, and can't wait to give back to you in the future. Now for the stuff we've all been waiting for, a roadmap update from us here at Synthesia. Before we go into the features, I want to spend just 30 seconds on explaining a little bit how we think about building the product and some of the principles that's important to us. We're building a technology that obviously is very exciting. It's really fun. It's AI, and it's just mind-blowing how capable this technology is going to be in the future. And so what we always try to do here is we want to be future-facing. We want to build the really cool, big new things that's going to change the world and change the product completely. But it's also really important to us that we talk a lot to our customers who use the product every day and make sure that your workflow is as good as it can get, right? So while we have to care about all the big AI stuff that's happening in the world, we also try and obsess over the smallest details in the product that makes it easy for you guys to use the product. And that could be everything from changing just a small part of functionality or how a specific button works. And to really make sure we kind of live this of both being very visionary, but also listening a lot to our customers, we spend a lot of time talking to our customers. So we've had 200 customer calls in the past 365 days. And this is, of course, not counting all of our CS teams and sales teams. This is the product team calling people up and saying, would you spare me 20 or 30 minutes to just talk about how you use Synthesia? Tell us about what works. Tell us about what doesn't work, so that we can make the product even better than what it is today. One of the features that we've gotten a lot of great feedback on has been markers. So markers is a feature that we put out there, I think it's around 4 or 5 months ago. And the ambition here really was to make it easier for people to animate objects in their videos and time them to the product, to whatever is happening in your script. We're coming up with a small update to markers, a few kind of UX fixes. So if we go over to my screen here, you'll see that I'm inside Studio. And for those of you who haven't used markers before, they are essentially the tool we use to time objects on the canvas. So that could be this text here, for example, it could be a bullet point or an image. We want to time that animation to fit something in our text. Now, for me, this is actually one of my favorite features, because for me, this is a great kind of example of how when you build a product like ours and you build a new type of video editing experience, we can leave some of the things that we know about traditional video editing user experience at the door and think, how would we build this AI first? Those of you who have been using traditional video editing tools before know that most video tools, you'll have a long timeline, you'll have lots of layers of all your different objects. And if you want to time something, this is kind of how you do it. You sort of mix the objects together, you line them up, and then it works. Because we're not tied to working with footage that comes off a camera, but because we're generating all the videos with AI, we can actually think about this in a different way. And the thing that sort of came to us is, well, most people, when they try and animate something in their video, they're not actually trying to tie it 8 seconds into the video, right? They're trying to tie it to something that's happening in the video, something the avatar is saying. And that's exactly how the feature works today. If I want to animate this particular piece here in my video, I can do it with these markers. So down here, you'll see some handles. This is the element that we've selected. And if I just play this video as it is today, this text will appear as the avatar says today, because that's where the first part of the handle is. And it will disappear when we're doing it after here. So markers work in this way, where you sort of essentially annotate in the script where you want your object to animate in and when you want it to animate out. Some of the small fixes we've made to make it easier to select the type of animation up here. So if you click this, you then can select whatever animation that you'd like. You don't have to go down to the side panel here. And that, of course, also goes for when you want to time it out. So it just makes the workflow a little bit easier. The other thing that we're updating here is when you select a marker, you can now see where on the canvas your element is. That could be a little confusing before. but now it should be much easier to use the markers to get all the animations that you want. Next year, we're also going to be doing much more of the animation, much more advanced animations. You're going to be able to animate the avatars themselves, and that's just going to make this feature even more useful than what it is today. We did a bunch of customer interviews to understand how people use markers, and I think we have a little video with some of our customers talking about how they use markers and how they like it. So let's just play that, and we'll get back into studio in a second.
Markers were a game changer, right? Because I created a video prior to the markers and now post markers, and the markers are just fantastic, right? Because otherwise you have to sort of like time things exactly, right? So that was good.
The markers were great. I mean, it halved the cycle time of generating a video. It was really good.
Yeah, so markers is going to be a core part of this Synthesia product moving forward, and we're going to have loads of updates coming to this. Next up, we got translations. So this is also something we pushed out a month or so ago. This has been a very requested feature. Now it's finally out there. There's still lots of work to do, but the kind of core components of it is out there and it's ready to use. So I'd love to just demo how it works. So if we go back to Studio, then the way it works here is that I find my video. So this is the one I was working on before. I select translate out here to the right. And then I simply just type in all the different languages that I'd like to have. So let's say I want German, French, and we'll take a Danish one as well. In this instance, I wanted to translate everything in the video. So also all the canvas and the text elements, not just the script. Otherwise, I could turn this off, but we'll leave that off for now. I'm going to hit translate. And then what happens in the background here is that we begin to create these videos. Now, these videos, of course, are drafts, so you can always go in and edit them if you want. But if you click, you'll see that everything in the video has been translated. Of course, the script in itself, the most important thing, has been translated, but also all the elements sit here on the canvas, like this bullet point. If I go down here, we'll have some additional text. All of this has been translated into French in this instance as well. We use a partner called DeepL, which is a machine translation company, to do these translations. And they do a phenomenal job, one of the best in the world. And I think most of our enterprise customers already use DeepL. It doesn't mean that they necessarily are perfect. You might still want to look over and make sure that everything kind of lines up. But even just the baseline translations here are very good. Especially when you combine them with markers. So I talked a bit about markers before and how they make it easy to animate things in your video. And this is a great example of how we can combine two features in a new way because we're doing this AI first. So with let's say you have your English video that we had before, we've put in our markers, all the animations, they work great. They're in time with what the avatar is saying. If you were to do this the traditional video editing way to translate the video, what you would then find is that as you change the voiceover into French or German, for example, that voiceover would maybe be 10% longer, some languages would be 10% shorter, and you'd have to sit and in the detail kind of adjust things to make sure that everything looks the way that you want it to look. But with these markers, the beautiful thing is that we're actually annotating the script semantically, right? So we're annotating the meaning of where we want these markers to be. And so when you translate it into a different language, they will still appear at the same sentences, which is obviously where you want them to appear. You don't have to sit and adjust each of them individually. So here, in this case, right, this sentence up here, this sentence in English was where we wanted that to appear. So that just translates one-to-one. It's a small thing, but it actually makes life incredibly more easy. It makes life so much more easier when you're working across many different languages and many different types of translations. And this is really just the beginning of how we can make video editing into a much smarter process because we're doing this with AI. So that's a little Easter egg there that we've thought a lot about. The translation feature is definitely not done. We want to make it even easier to not just create the initial version of the translation, but also to upkeep it and update it as your video may go through kind of different stages. And we'll have more really cool stuff coming around translations in the early part of next year. The third feature I just quickly want to show here is smart updates, or smart embeds. This is also something that's kind of still very early, but is incredibly useful in terms of working with AI videos. So it's a small thing. You probably all know, those of you who use Synthesia, that in Synthesia, you can publish your videos either via a share link or an embeddable player, of course, directly on the platform. So if we go back to Studio, then once you've done your video, this is what it'll look like. And I can play it here. I can use comments to tag someone. I'll tag Stefan here and say, hello. So he'll get a notification now and go in and see my video. So we can work on it here. But on the publishing side of things, what happens if I click up here is that we can make this a publicly accessible video by either just copying the link and sending it to someone, but we can also copy the embeddable code. The embed code is a long piece of code that you can put on your website or in your LMS system or wherever on the internet really you want to show your video. What's going to happen then is that wherever you put that code in, a video player is going to appear, and that video player is going to be linked directly back to the video that you have here. So that in itself is, of course, pretty smart. It's easier than downloading the video and sharing it somewhere else. But where this becomes really cool is once you start working on versions of the video, maybe in the future it'll be different languages, you can publish your content directly from Synthesia. So right now the version 2 here is published because that's the latest one that I did. But if I wanted to change to version 1, I can go here to version 1 and I can click republish and I can replace my version 2 with version 1. So if you're a non-technical team, what this means is that once you've installed these videos once, you can just seamlessly update them without having to go through downloading files, taking them to IT or security to upload them, which is generally a quite long process. This makes it a bit more like having to update a blog post or something which most people are very familiar with. And this functionality is also something we're going to be working more on next year. Next up, we got assisted creation. I'll let one of our customers here introduce the kind of idea and where this all came from. And then I'll talk a little bit more about how it works and one of the updates that we're going to be releasing to it in the coming weeks. But let's play the video and go from there.
Generate a video, it just gives me an avatar, but it doesn't really give me any templates, or it doesn't do any design work, which I don't know if that's something that you guys are going to explore, because I've seen it done with these other tools, but it's horrible.
Yeah, so a lot of people have what we call kind of like the blank screen problem when they create not just Synthesia videos, but really kind of anything. The blank screen problem is a way of expressing the kind of the difficulty it can be to just start from scratch with something, right? Like you have to make a video and you're seeing a blank screen, and now you have to start writing the script. You have to start deciding all of your kind of scenes, and it's just like can be quite an overwhelming process. What we've done with Synthesia is we've built what we think of as an AI video assistant that can help you maybe not do the entire video, that's definitely not the ambition here, but give you a draft that you can work on. A bit like we're doing with translations, we want to give you something that you can edit instead of having to come up with it from scratch. So if we go back into Studio here, the way we've done this is up on the new video, you can now click on your AI video assistant. And the AI video assistant works in a few different ways. Right now, we only have idea live in the product, which is essentially you just kind of like you would with ChatGPT. Then you just kind of type in what you'd like a video about. You want a video about how to not be phished in a corporate environment. That works fairly well, but the feedback we heard from you guys was that it's kind of okay, but it's very general. It's a bit boilerplate. I need something that works for the content I already have. So what we built is a solution where you can give us a link that could be to a blog post. It could be to a knowledge base article. It could be to like literally any piece of text you can find on the internet as the inspiration for your video. Or you can upload a file directly. This could be a PDF file or Word file, something you might have a written material of that you want to turn into a video. But if we stick with the web link idea here, let me just show you how this works. So here I have one of our knowledge base articles for Synthesia. So this is a text article about how to translate your videos. Now, I want to turn this into a video, but I don't want to write it from scratch. So I'll start here. I'll put in my web link, and then I'll describe the objective of this video. So this is teaching someone who is new to Synthesia how to use the translation feature. So that's the objective of my video. I have some additional things I can do down here. The length of the video, I think this one should be a bit snappy. So let's just stick it to 5 scenes. In terms of the tone, let's say friendly startup communicating to their customers. All right, so this is all I'm putting in. Now I'm going to click generate video, and the system will then begin to create a video for us, which is not just based on a generic prompt, but it's actually based on the system going in, reading the entire article, and then writing the script, as you can see here, right? I'm sure a lot of you have played around with text generation tools like this this last year. They've all been very, very popular. What excites me about this particular feature is that we've really tried to make this like really, really actually useful, not just cool, right? So if I actually were to sit down and make a video about how to use the translation feature in Synthesia, if you read the script here, it's actually really, really good, right? Because it's taking all that text and it's just putting it into something that sounds like a video script. It's making it a bit more clear, concise. It's actually even on the design of the slides, inputting some text around what the bullet points should be, and so on and so forth. And it works really, really well as something I can just take and then I can edit it, right? I still maybe want to take away some stuff, want to add in some stuff, maybe want to change the avatar. Like there's lots of things I could want to do with it, but I'll be in this kind of editing mode instead of creating it from scratch. So if we open this up in the editor, in here, I'll then have, of course, all the capabilities that you always have in Synthesia. Let's say I don't want this sentence. I'll just delete this. This one, I want to have this not in the entire video, so I'll use my marker, right, to just put it over here at the second sentence. Let's say I want to have this at the beginning of the video. I'll pull up my marker here, and so on and so forth, right? So this is just like any other video you can edit. Some of the work we're doing here is we want to make it easy for you to also design the slides, selecting the right background images, putting in your font, in your colors, and so on. This still really is a V1, but I have to say, just for myself, this has been one of the most transformational features we've shipped this year. It really, really makes a difference in terms of how quickly you can get from an idea of something to a final piece of video. So we've built and released a lot of features this year. 20 of them we attribute directly to the feedback we've gotten from you guys. This was some of them. You probably have seen variations of these features, and this is kind of like us building on top of those based on your feedback. It's always lovely to see customers loving the product, and Frank from Heineken is definitely one of them. We'll see a video with him in just a second. And then we'll jump into some of the new stuff that you haven't seen before. We'll talk a bit about dialogues. I'll give you guys a sneak peek of some of the next avatars. But let's listen to Frank from Heineken, one of our happy customers who've been very, very helpful in terms of shaping our roadmap.
If you are considering to try Synthesia, don't get ready, get started. I'm Frank, born and raised in the Netherlands, as you may hear from my accent. Within Heineken, digitalization is very important. My role in the company is that I'm responsible for continuous improvement program. Before we started using Synthesia, we used a lot of PowerPoints. And to be honest, I hate PowerPoints. I call them poison points. I heard about Synthesia from my colleague. I'm not an early adopter of new technology, but this one looked very promising. I learned myself. I never used one of the tutorials because it is very easy to use. It saves a lot of time in creating videos, but also in multiple languages, and you can adjust and change the script anytime you want. I tried to choose an avatar that's relevant for the situation and make it personal. A movie that comes to mind before Synthesia is Mission Impossible. A movie after Synthesia, Bruce Almighty. Anything is possible. If you're in the profession of educating people, I can highly recommend Synthesia.
Amazing. Thank you so much to Frank. And one of the things Frank has been talking a lot about with myself and the rest of the team is how do we get to be able to create dialogues? And the answer is with our new dialogue feature. So the dialogue feature is really about enabling everyone to create or simulate kind of like real life conversations. What this means technically is that you can have multiple avatars in one scene. That can just be two, but it can also be more than that. You can have it as voiceover only. I'll show you how it works in just a second. But this really opens up a lot of new creative opportunities. Let's say you're building training for your sales team, for example. Well, now you can go in and you can create one avatar who works as the salesperson and another avatar that works as the prospect. If you're doing HR and training, you can imagine a million different types of situations that you would want to kind of like simulate and maybe ask people about what should you have done, what should you not do. It really enables a new level of immersion in terms of the videos that you can create. So if we switch over to my screen again, then I just want to show you the UX of how this works, and then of course also show you an example of how this works. So this is Synthesia. You're probably familiar with most of it, but what you can see here is that we now have this notion of multiple speakers in the script. So here I've chosen to have Anna or Alex as one of my avatars. So all her lines is the ones I'm highlighting here. The other avatar here is Samuel, and that'll be his lines here. And then I've actually also added one more avatar who's not on the screen, and that's Nora. She'll just be a voiceover. So you could have 2 avatars on screen, you can have 3 avatars on screen, or you can have 2 avatars on screen with a voiceover or 10 different voiceovers. We haven't really limited how many avatars or voices you can use, which just, again, provides for a lot of creative flexibility in building what you want to build. The UX is not going to change significantly. As you can see here, when I'm typing something new, like here, if I'm just typing hello, it'll just be the line of Anna. That's what you can see, this little faded avatar, or Alex, like this. But if I want this to be someone else, I can also just click here, and I can say, actually, I want Samuel to have this line. So this is exactly like writing a script for a movie or a video. Some of you may have done this before, but now we can bring this to life immediately from Studio, right? And of course, when one avatar is not talking, they're not just like frozen in time. They're actually sitting there, listening, waiting, and idling. So it looks natural. So this is a very, very exciting feature. I think we have a video we're going to play now with a few examples of what this can look like. But very excited to see what all of you are going to be creating with the dialogue feature. So let's run the video.
Hey, I'm Cade, introducing dialogue feature in Synthesia.
Cade, what's this feature about?
You can now add more avatars into a scene, as easy as 1, 2, 3.
That was easy indeed. Next, I suggest we show a few use case examples.
Let's do it.
I didn't receive the confirmation email.
May I have your order number?
Phishing email suspicion.
I'll delete it.
I will report immediately.
Not if you see and hear me well.
Try dialogue in Synthesia today.
Happy creating.
Awesome. It's going to be so fun. I cannot wait to see what all of you create with the new dialogue feature when we push it out. Please do share feedback once it's out. This is what helps us make a better product for all of you. We have a few questions to Q&A, and then we're going to end off on the next generation of the avatars. So let's just jump straight into some of the questions that we had in this last week. So the first one is around amazing product market fit in the HR space, being such an adaptable solution. What other verticals around Synthesia's roadmap to take on? So I think what we found today is that for this kind of instructional content, where it's about disseminating information to someone else, the current product just works amazingly well. And the way most of our customers kind of think of this is a bit more as an alternative to something like a PowerPoint or a Word document, as it is necessarily a replacement for actually using a camera to shoot some content. But as the technology gets better and better and more capable, and the avatars can walk around in rooms and be, in general, just create richer and more complex content, then obviously we see that changing. But what I will say is that the last 6 to 9 months, we've seen a lot of push towards B2B marketing as one vertical. So this wouldn't necessarily be, the first video that people see when they enter your website, but this could be integration guides. It could be customer success teams making videos or customer support teams, essentially just integrating video into the kind of buyer journey. This has been incredibly powerful. We have some of our biggest customers doing this with great success. Another big vertical that we've seen take off is sales enablement. So this is, of course, still within the kind of training and learning space to some extent. But we've seen a lot of customers, Zoom being one of them, which of course the video calling company. They're now training 1,000 salespeople with Synthesia videos. And the thing that they've just kind of realized is that when something happens in the competitive landscape, there's a new feature or something else going on, then instead of sending people an email, which people kind of read it, but then they may forget it, it's actually much more powerful to send a video, right? And because video is now more or less as easy to create as a slide in PowerPoint, it is really actually feasible to do most of their training content with video. So that's 2 verticals I'm pretty excited about taking off myself. I've identified over 30 possible use cases for Synthesia, but I'm pretty sure there are a lot more. Is there a document with all the possible use cases for this amazing tool? Very good question. One place I would go to look is if you go to synthesia.io/examples, then there's a lot of real world videos there. That's both, some of them are made by us, a lot of them are made by our customers. I think they'll give you a great sense of like what kind of videos that work well in Synthesia. I haven't seen a kind of fully fledged out list with kind of line items yet, but maybe that is something we should be working on. Last question from Lee. We've introduced Synthesia as a new tool to deliver safeguarding review learning. The tone of videos need to be very mindful. Would you be able to introduce a filler for avatar emotional appearance, like somber, neutral, as well as excellent positive presenters? So this is, of course, one of the really, really big things that we're working on. And if we go to the next slide here, I can talk a little bit about what's coming on the avatar side of things. So we call them V4 avatars. They're coming in Q1 2024. And they are going to be a significant upgrade in terms of how expressive the avatars can be. So as good as the avatars are today, they aren't great at expressing or saying something, performing something in a very sad way or a very happy way, or even just a neutral way. They're always kind of like a bit neutral in their tone of voice. What we've done now is we've spent a lot of time training some very large AI models that essentially teach the avatars how they should perform a specific piece of text. This both goes for how they talk, so their voice, but it also goes for their head movements, their eyebrow movements, how they kind of express themselves. It just takes them into a world where they're kind of less robotic and less stilted in some way. So the way it's going to work is that if you give us a script of a video that is very serious, let's say it's an HR video, for example, the avatar will perform it in kind of a serious manner. But if you give the avatars a script of someone selling you a used car, for example, the avatar will be a lot more upbeat. They'll have more kind of head movements. They'll have more eyebrow movements, and they'll just be more expressive in general. The thing we've cracked to do this is that most kind of avatar solutions out there really just take a video, then they loop it, and then they kind of change the lips. So they can actually control the body language, the eyebrows, all the things that goes on, like my hands, for example, when I'm talking. But this new version of our technology can do that. We are actually changing the beat of how you move your head when you're presenting or the avatars are presenting, but that just makes the results come much more live. You actually saw a demo of some of the stuff, the first video that we showcased. We have another one here that will give you an idea of where this is headed. It's not done in R&D yet, so it'll be better before we release it. But it's going to be quite a significant change, and especially in the quarters after that, we're going to be able to really build on this to get the avatars to a completely different level than what we're seeing today. So if we watch this video again in a second, what you should try and look for here is like when she starts counting, for example, her head movement and her eyebrows and her facial expressions actually match that. She says 1, 2, 3, 4, which is exactly what a real person would do, right? They're not kind of like stuck with strange head movements that doesn't make any sense. The voices, as you can tell, is also getting much, much, much better. We've been working on our own voice technology for videos over the last couple of years, and this is also something we're getting ready to release now. So it's going to be a package of both voice, avatar performance with emotions, and even more as we progress into next year. But let's try and have a look at this video and see if you can spot the difference.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have you noticed anything? My eyebrows, facial expression, and mannerisms look even more human-like. Our amazing research team has been busy this year and developed some groundbreaking AI avatar technology. Can't spill all the secrets now, but one thing is for sure. We will set a new standard for AI video in Q1 2024. Anything to add, Victor?
Hopefully, you'll see the difference here, right? It's a much better voice. It's much better facial expression. As I said, this is fresh out from the R&D laboratory, so it's not there yet. But it's going to make a huge difference in terms of the types of videos you can create and how engaged you can keep people. Imagine 2 of these V4 avatars talking together with the dialogue feature. It's going to be very magical to get this out, and it's going to be a lot of rapid improvements once we have this first version of the next generation out. That was actually all that we had for today. We're going to do another big update in Q1 where we talk much more about all the avatar technology that we're developing and all the AI features that we're developing. But thank you so much for working with us. If we're not already working together, I hope we're going to get a chance to work together. And I really appreciate all of you showing up here. Please share your feedback, both in the product and on the webinar. And I look forward to seeing all of you very, very soon. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good rest of the day.